Welcome to Magdi-AI Tutorials, where we help you make the most of Magdi-AI, your software quality assurance AI assistant. In this tutorial, we're going to do an advanced test automation project. Stay tuned because I think this will really be exciting. All right, let's begin. Click on MagdiTestGen Build Test Plus Framework button. And we're going to do something a little bit different than the previous tutorials. We're going to try to create an entire new project plus test based on very specific requirements that we have. So the very first thing that we want to do is we want to tell Magdi AI exactly what we want to do. So here I'm telling it, hey, I want to generate a new test automation project. And let's kind of have it come back with a response. So, to kind of give you a little bit of insight, I have been doing some interviewing with new companies, and a company wanted me to sort of do a test to see if I qualified for the role. And they promised to send it to me on one day, but they forgot. And so, curious as to how I would approach test automation for this particular company, I started looking into it. So, Magdi kind of comes back and she says, great, we're going to set up a new test automation project. And so, she starts to tell you, hey, I need a few details to kind of help me out. And she kind of lists a number of parameters that would help her get started with things. So I already know because I'm an advanced test automation developer, I already know some very specific requirements that I have. So I'm going to give it a set of very specific requirements as opposed to just having Magdi kind of guide me through the creation process. So here we're going to basically say, hey, here are the requirements to meet. I'm automating for this mobile application project. Sorry that I kind of blocked out the name, and that's just due to privacy concerns. But here I say find the details on their website. So I'm actually telling them to go to their website, learn about their project, and then we're going to base our automation project based on that. So then I kind of tell it, I want to use the abstract factory design pattern that verifies this app on Android devices on Chrome and Edge. So I'm kind of telling it which browsers and specifically which mobile device. I know that I want to use Selenium with TestNG as the automation framework. I want to use Java. I know because I'm using a mobile device, I'm going to use Appium. And I'm telling it I prefer to use an Android device emulator that would allow me to install the app. And again, I'm sorry that I kind of blocked out the name of the app. And I prefer an open source solution. So I'm telling it that I'm developing on Windows 11 laptop using Visual Studio 2022. I'm telling Magdi what my development environment is so that it can kind of help me create the project that fits my environment. So as it kind of goes down, I'm also telling it, hey, see if I can get this lined up correctly. I'm also telling it, hey, I want instructions on creating a new project. So I'm telling it that, hey, I need you to kind of guide me in setting everything up, installing and configuring the prerequisites. I want the framework to use a nice report type like a lore. So I'm giving a suggestion. And then I'm saying instead of creating test and G style test cases in the code, I want to create them in a Google Sheet document. So, in other words, I want my tests to be external from the framework. And then I'm telling it constructing a test using steps. And I want the framework to read the test cases from the Google Sheets and process them. The test should work on Chrome and Edge. So I'm kind of reinforcing that point. I don't know the URL to the app at this time. So, we just have it create a placeholder for us. So we're going to kind of send these instructions and then kind of see what Maggie kind of asks us after that. So again, interviewing for this job, seeing that they didn't send me the test, but now I'm very curious as to, because I'm just assuming what the test will contain. But sometimes when you are seeking a role that kind of wants you to have that background in automation, they kind of see if you actually can code something. So I decided to use Magdi AI to kind of guide me through this process. So I already know what I want to do. I've designed and developed frameworks before. So I'm giving it the list of these requirements. And so now it's kind of coming back and it's saying, great. So now they're just confirming that they understand what it is you want to create. So it's saying it's going to generate a new Java plus TestNG Appium plus Selenium project with Abstract Factory to run on Android emulator across Chrome and Microsoft Edge. So it's confirming all of this. And so it's saying, hey, before I scaffold, I have two things that I want to confirm. So it says here the IDE you mentioned is Visual Studio 2022. Since this is a Java development project, uh, can we switch to Visual Studio or can we switch to IntelliJ IDE, not Visual Studio 2022? That is absolutely correct. We need an IDE that would allow us to develop using Java. And then it's kind of going in and saying the scope. Do you want to automate the native the native app? Do you want to do mobile web checks? So it's asking. And it says, if it sounds right, I'll deliver. And it's giving you the list of things that it plans on delivering, everything from the Maven project to the POM based framework, the page objects, the runner, Allure, all of that. And then you can say reply with. So it's telling you what to reply with. So you can say, um, I can use IntelliJ. Otherwise, proceed with the default suggestions because I'm kind of okay with all of that. Another thing that you have to pay attention to is the saying optional your Google account email. We'll use a service account and you'll share the sheet, or I'll show how to create and share it without needing your email. So once confirmed, they'll generate the project. So we're going to click send. So back to the story. So I started using Magdi-AI because I realized I don't have the specifications for their app, but I can definitely look at their app. I can play with their app. I decided that I didn't want it on my mobile phone, which is why I'm looking at emulators. And I wanted to see, okay, what does it take to kind of automate it? So to kind of get started on the project, I posed these questions to Magdi AI so it could scaffold for me the project, tell me all the prerequisites I need for the project, kind of guide me through it. So here, it's kind of confirming one more time before it generates everything. It's telling you what they're going to generate. It's telling you what to include. And now it's telling you it's generating now. And I'm just going to confirm with it. So I thought this was a very great use case for a tutorial video to kind of show how we can do something a little bit more advanced, especially if you already have an idea exactly what you want Magdi AI to generate for you. So we're looking at two cases. If you look at the previous video on MagdiTestGen, creating a new project or updating an existing project, you can actually see that there it's a more elementary approach. You're not really much of a test automation person, maybe you're a junior level. So you're having Magdi AI kind of guide you through the automation process. Also, in those tutorials, we're using a specification to help us create the project. In this particular case, I don't have a specification. So I'm actually telling it to go to the website, gather the information that way, and then we're going to create um, the requirements based on the interrogation of the website, and then build the project structure that we're going to use for this project. So that is a very interesting use case. It's one that you can try out yourself. And you can see that we actually kind of input very few commands. You also kind of see it's already giving you setup instructions for Windows 11. Is telling you what you should install. And mind you, if you need additional help, you can always say, hey, can you elaborate on the steps to help me install, let's say, Android SDK or something like that? So if we scroll up, we see that, oh, we got a lot of feedback. So here you can kind of see, excellent. They generated our new Java TestNG Appium Selenium project. And then we can see that it's a completely runnable Maven project. It's based on the abstract factory pattern for native Chrome and Edge drivers. It's going to create a page object model, the integration to Google Sheets, Allure reporting, and it's also going to go through setting up IntelliJ, Android emulator, and Appium on a Windows 11 environment. So here it starts with the project tree. So you can kind of see it basically tells you what folders to create, what the names of the folders, what files go in that folder. So you already have that. And then you kind of go down and you can kind of see the tests that it's going to create, everything. Here is kind of letting you know what dependencies that Maven can manage for you. So you can see that these are the dependencies that it's using. And then it generates the POM file for you that is actually going to have the properties, and it already configures the dependencies for you. And here it kind of parameterizes the Selenium version. So as you kind of scroll down, you see that each one of the files, it gives you a code block for those files. You can easily copy and paste into the respective files that you create for the project. So I'm just kind of scrolling through so you can kind of see that it actually is giving you the code for every uh, Java project that you need to create. So you can see that it's basing it on Android. It's actually giving you a driver factory, a driver manager. This is the code that actually is going to take in those tests and process it. It's actually using a waiter file, um, basically trying to control the wait states, the page objects in the base page, uh, the permissions model, onboarding, login. So you can see that it's actually going through the home page, the web search. So it actually went to the website and found all of those features in their app, and it created the support for it. Here is the Google Sheets client. So this is the client that you would use to kind of integrate with your Google Sheets. You have the provider. And so that's the code that's going to read your test from the Google Sheets, and then it's going to process those red steps into your framework. It even kind of provides you a sample smoke test that you can use to kind of test everything works. And here it even provides you the Google Sheets, a beginning set of tests that you can begin using. So here you can kind of see it gives you the columns in the example rows. And here is a number of tests that you can use to begin executing the test against the app. Now, you can always expand that coverage, but this is something to get you started. You can kind of set up the project, make sure that works. And then as you kind of discover, hey, I want additional tests for this, or I want additional tests for that, you can then have Magdi AI expand the scope of the test. And at that time, you can actually copy the file and say, hey, can you update this file to support whatever additional support you wanted to have? So I thought that was a little bit fun. I hope you enjoyed this advanced tutorial. We can click the back button, and we made it just in time before our tokens ran out for today. So I wish you a great day and see you in the next video.